Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Slow feet don't eat. Give everybody a second to start dropping in. It's good to be back. Had a couple of days off, I guess a week off from doing a podcast, doing a live. Been out of town, man. I've been in Atlanta for a couple of days with some great gentlemen. We linked up to build, have conversation. A lot of us have known each other for a super long time. So, my brother, Elijah Rubin, the Fire Damage King, was instrumental in getting all of us together. A lot of beautiful takeaways, a lot of great things that happened. But I'm always excited to be back, talking to the people, connecting with you guys. A couple of church announcements, the drill, guys. Go share this on your social media, share it on your Facebook, tell your friend about it. Your friend that's supposed to be wholesaling, but they've been playing around, haven't been doing what they're supposed to do. Let them know they need to be in here right now. I see y'all coming in. What up? What up? It's good to see y'all in here tonight. Good to see y'all in here tonight. Ashley, what's going on? Jensen, Prince, appreciate y'all being here. So tonight, got my guy from Richmond. So this is some 804 fam. Love going on tonight. My guy, Pedro. This dude's been in the game for a little bit. He's a U member. He's got a great story. He's been grinding, man, just working on some different things, working on being consistent, getting a lot of different things done, making some beautiful things happen. So we're going to hear from him, hear his story. But a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight, too, is the art of being consistent. The consistency that it takes to be in this business. And also at the same time, we'll hear from Pedro and his thoughts. Like for me personally, like I haven't always been as consistent as I need to be in the business. Vivian, Shayla, Ransburg, Robert, what up, y'all? What up? Cassandra, what up? Gabriel. I haven't always been as focused and efficient in my business as I need to be. And I catch myself at times, where I'm slipping off, right? Where I'm just not getting things done, not focused. My energy isn't right. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, right? How do you calibrate yourself? How do you pay attention to these things to get back on track? But, wholesaling is a business that you got to be consistent in. You got to push forward in and work through obstacles. So we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get into this, though. I'm going to get my guy Pedro in here. Pedro, what's up, man?
What's going on? What's up?
Not much, man. Look, I appreciate you dropping through tonight. We're going to talk some absolutely, man. We're going to talk some good stuff tonight. Who is Pedro, man? Like, what's your story? Where are you from? How'd you find real estate? Tell us that.
I'm from Hopewell, Virginia, right outside of Richmond, probably about 20 miles south. Grew up playing basketball for real, just playing basketball sports all my life and everything. I always knew I wanted to be wealthy. I always knew I wanted a different type of lifestyle, and always knew real estate was one of those foundations you had to have to obtain that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely is. I mean, I grew up watching, and I don't know if you remember back in the day. How old are you, Pedro?
I'm 27.
All right, so you close enough, man. I'm an old head now, man. I'm 34. Like too. It's crazy, right? We used to look at the OGs and be like, man,
now, that's all I can say.
Yeah, man, it's a blessing to see every day, man. So when I was growing up, right, I used to look at Forbes magazine and Fortune magazine, those lists that come out every year, wealthiest people in America and all those different things. And you always see real estate in that list.
Always.
And before the internet, real estate was the most dominant part of that list. And so, I'm with you, man. It's just one of those things where when you get the exposure to it and you're aware of how beneficial real estate can be,
right?
It's one of them things like, I don't know how involved I'm going to be in it, but I got to get into it
right
at one point. So
somehow,
yeah, man, you're in your late 20s. How long have you been in wholesaling?
Honestly, I just started wholesaling. It'll be a year for me this in November. Like seriously, right. I knew about it for a while, and that kind of go back to procrastination. But I just never pushed the button on it. I never took it serious. I don't want to say thought it was a scam, but I kind of would treat it like anything else I would think is a scam. You know what I mean? Honestly, just to be honest. Till I actually one of my partners, he started doing it, and I'm like, man, all right. So somebody close to me, it actually like, all right, it is possible. I had somebody close to me with a testament of saying that it does actually work. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try it, and I just hit the ground with it, running.
Dope, man. And sometimes that's what it takes, because it's almost one of those things that when you hear about it, the shit kind of seemed too good to be true.
Exactly.
Be real, right? It's like, especially when if somebody that you haven't had a lot of options, like I didn't have a lot of options.
Right.
Someone put wholesaling in front of you, like, bro, you telling me I can make 10, 15, 20 bands when I don't gotta have a lot of money to, it's like, so
lying. That's what you're gonna say.
Say that?
I said you're gonna think they lying to you.
Facts.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this though. So you said that you knew about it for a bit. I think there's a lot of people that have known about wholesale, known about real estate, even looked into it at some capacity, and haven't been intentional about that.
Right.
What was that period like for you where you were procrastinating, you weren't being consistent? Like what were you doing?
So like I said, I played sports. I played college ball and everything. My goal was I thought I was gonna play professional somewhere, but I had a mishaps where I collapsed on the court, and I had to get a defibrillator. So that kind of halted my career as far as playing sports and everything. So in between time, bouncing from different jobs and things like that, just then you just get tired of like you being average. Basically, you want better for yourself, and that's when I just started wholesaling.
What was that moment, if you don't mind? What was the moment where you were like, yo, this ain't supposed, like what was happening? Like where were you at where you're saying to yourself, like, yo, this really can't be it? Like,
I mean, I don't know if it was just a moment. I always had that grind and that mindset of wanting more. I couldn't put my finger on how I was gonna start to get it. I always had different things I wanted to do. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. So I always had that grind mindset, and then it's just like I said, one of my partners, he was actually started doing it, and it was kind of close to me home. I had somebody that I actually trust and believe, and then I just looked into it harder, and I actually started YouTubing Max Maxwell a lot and different guys on YouTube, and I actually just applied the knowledge and went and got it.
word. I love it, man. So you start getting that information. You're at YouTube University.
Right.
It seems like we've all been at YouTube University at one point or another, right? So you're at YouTube University, and what did you start out doing? What kind of marketing did you originally start out with?
So my first marketing, just like everybody else, I had the notepad. I got in the car, drove around, had people blowing the horn at me because I was going too slow and in the way. So I was on that grind for a second. I write down, I try to get 50 addresses every time I go out. I try to go out once or twice a day. I just did it like that for a while. And then I came back and I skip traced them on True People Search and looked them up. You, of course, on the county website, skip traced them, and I just started dialing.
Got it. So you was just grinding it out. Like,
yeah, I just grinded it out.
Whatever I got to do, I'm going to try to make it happen.
Right.
And so now let's fast forward a little bit. Now you're doing deals, you're making some different things happen. You're getting more consistent in the business. What does your business look like right now? Like, where are you at right now?
Me personally, I still feel like I'm all over the place, but to somebody on the outside looking in, they probably like, man, you got something going on, so I'm still working on getting the kinks together as far as getting my systems all the way together and things like that. But I'm definitely making progress every day to get in a well-oiled machine running.
Yeah. And I think that's key what you're saying. A lot of us, myself included, at one point or another, we think that, and I talked about this last night on one of the coaching calls for the U, I call it a plug and play mentality.
Right.
And, it's you want to be able to pick something up, get a little bit of information, and you want to be able to implement it and be rewarded for that implementation right away.
Right.
You want to plug it in and be able to turn it on and play it.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, the reality is, and everybody gets hit with this at some point. I did, you did, everybody's going to get hit with this at some point. We come into it with the expectation of the plug and play. To be real, a lot of times that's how it's marketed to us.
Right.
That it is plug and play. That's how people market it. And so, we assume that, hey, I can get into this and just make some shit shift.
Yeah.
The reality of it is, as you well know,
right.
shit is a grind, right? Like you gotta work. You gotta put some time in. I'm running right now on a couple hours of sleep from over the weekend, but I still gotta push through it, right? So how did you make that shift from, because you're talking about figuring out systems and stuff like that, you're on that journey. How did you transition, or what helped you realize, like, man, I've been trying to plug and play this thing a little bit, and I really need to get more serious about my systems, my processes, and how I'm going about doing the things that I'm doing?
Honestly, research and just losing potential deals. You know, you the same probably as everybody. You'll see a deal that just sold that you spoke with 2 months ago that told you to follow up with them, and you might was a week or two late on your follow up, and somebody beat you to the deal. And you know, once that start happening, you like, all right, I got to start making sure this don't happen. You know, so
Yeah, and is there a worse feeling than following up with a lead late when you know you were supposed to be following up? This has happened to me too many times to count. I'm scared of how much money I've left on the table. And then you finally stop playing around, stop not being focused, and you go follow it with that lead, and then boom, what they tell you?
just sold it.
Just sold it. Just sold it. I already got a contract. And I know you've been there, bro. You know how that shit feel?
Yeah, you kind of be mad at yourself, like, man, you tripping.
Tripping. When you know you were supposed to be following up.
Right.
What are some things that have helped you become more consistent?
Actually, just I'm kind of a realist with myself. So I kind of start with self accountability, just actually holding myself more accountable and being real with myself. Like, you know, sometimes you think like, all right, I did enough for the day, but in reality, like, man, go ahead, get the rest of that stuff done. You know, just having that mindset. Also transitioning, start really using my CRM and Podio, kind of really helped me a lot. I'm still trying to build it out and get some kinks out to kind of tailor it to my business, but Podio really helped me a lot. And actually hiring a couple of virtual assistants kind of helped me and took the load off of me as well. I got a few great virtual assistants as well.
Dope. Are you hiring those virtual assistants yourself, or you getting them from a service?
I use for the two I have now, I use Antoine Campbell's. I've tried Upwork.com, but me personally, I like Antoine Campbell, so I recommend it.
Shout out to my guy Antoine Campbell, the REI giver. Hit him up for VAs, man. Good, solid dude. He's got some good VAs. Pedro's using his VAs. I know a lot of people. I got a lot of students that use his VAs as well. So definitely go check that out. It sounds like, if I'm hearing you right, the things that you aren't good at, not good at, I don't want to say not good at, but maybe the things that you don't like in the business.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're working on, outsourcing some of those things, getting people in place inside of your business that can manage and take on those tasks, while you can focus more on other things, stuff that you're better at, and things of that nature. And that's, guys, this is how you got to look at this, through the lens. And I like what Pedro is saying, because you got to look at this through the lens of running an actual business, right? You don't want to look at this as, again, plug and play. It's just some shit that I'm doing on the side, hustling it, that kind of thing. Pedro, one thing that a lot of people deal with is getting into this business while they have a full-time job. I don't know if you still have a job, or at one point had a job and went full-time. Did you ever had to deal with that, or had to try to understand how to manage the business?
Yes, once I started wholesaling, I was a full-time entrepreneur, so I didn't have to really deal with the 9-to-5 hassle and trying to balance it out. It is trying to balance out. It's a task trying to stay balanced, period. So I can imagine being balanced with a 9-to-5, so thankfully haven't had to deal with that.
Yeah, man. I came out from having a 9-to-5. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of time. I said this to somebody today on one of my one-on-one students. And I remember I struggled a lot with quitting my job before I went full-time. So I'll share this real quick. Somebody said to me at the time, I was making like $32,000 a year. And I was really just struggling with the thought of leaving my job, doing real estate full-time, that kind of thing. I was just working in a call center. So somebody said something to me. I had a deal that closed, but I was still scared to leave. And they said, hey, Chris, like, if you quit your job and got back 40 hours a week, you really don't think you can make 32,000? And when they said it, I'm like, damn. Yeah, I'm like, damn, like I already got the systems in place. I put in the work, I put in the hours. Things are moving. They ain't moving super crazy, but things are moving. And it's like, hey, like, damn, if I got 40 hours a week back, I can't make 32,000 in 52 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nah, like I can figure that out. Like I can make that happen. So yeah, I mean, guys, you got to think about that. Pedro, so you were lucky in that regard in the way that you went
Right.
about doing that. What's working for you right now? Where are you getting most of your leads at? I know that you're somebody that buys leads and stuff. Where are you getting your leads that are working for you right now?
I used your site, a GeoPoint, the charged up list. Also, sometimes I use PropStream. I don't really use PropStream leads too much. That's about it for real. I use list source sometimes. I do pull leads from list source as well. So
Cool. Yeah. So guys, chargedaplist.com, PropStream. If you've got PropStream, if you need PropStream, you can look below this video once it's up on YouTube and get a 7-day free trial that gets you 10,000 records a month. And then List Source, man. List Source is like that oldie but goodie.
right.
It's been around forever, it seems like, but it's good data and definitely works in the business as well.
That was one of the first sites I heard about to get lists from. So yeah.
That's dope, man. And so when did you join the U, man? I know you in the U family, so shout out to you. When did you join the U?
Man, it's been, I think when it first came out.
Yeah, maybe I know you were early on, man.
I may have been the first member, man. I think I got to get a plaque or something.
Nah, we're gonna have to link, man. We got to link you in the city. We're gonna have to set something up.
Definitely.
We've been waiting this COVID thing out so we can get some stuff going. It may be the new norm, so we'll see how that goes, man. But now we definitely got to link up. I appreciate you having faith in me, joining the program. I mean, how has being in the U? Nah, bless, man. How has being in the U benefited you?
It's been good, man. Everybody in the group, they definitely hungry and they keep you on your toes. They're gonna motivate you every morning. Somebody posting something positive. Somebody got a deal flowing. Anytime you need questions, you're in there adamant about making sure you help people as much as you can. We know you're busy, so other people in the group help out as much as they can as well. So it's definitely a good family-oriented group. So I definitely recommend it for sure.
No doubt, man. So let's get into this, man. Let's talk. I want to talk about this deal that you did, and we'll talk more when we get into Q&A about being consistent and stuff like that. So let me ask you this: like, you got a deal recently closed. You made 13,000.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get that lead from?
I don't remember exactly where it came from. I know it came from my virtual assistant calling. So it was a cold call. It was definitely a cold call, but it was a probate lead, and it kind of go hand in hand when we're talking about being consistent. I actually had to follow up with it for about 3 to 4 months because it was going through that whole process, and siblings were in a dispute and some type of family issues that they had to work that out in court. So it took some time and some follow-ups to kind of make sure I stayed at the top of their list, and that's how that went.
Dope. So I got a question then. So how frequently, this is a probate lead, how frequently were you following up with that lead?
So it came in as a warm to hot lead. So what I do in my business, I try to touch, if I didn't speak with you, I try to touch warm leads at least 2 to 3 times a week. If it's a hot lead, I try to touch it at least once or twice a day until I talk to them. So I guess you could say 3 times a week. This one was kind of different because we were kind of on a schedule and she would tell me kind of dates to follow up with her. So I would say like once or twice a month like that until it actually got closed.
Gotcha. So once or twice a month, let's just say every other week,
Right.
You're following up with this lead. Do you do that with all your warm and hot leads?
Correct.
All right. So all warm and hot leads, you're following up with them every other week at the minimum.
Right.
All right. And so what is that? I hear this all the time. I see a lot of students ask this, and they always get my perspective. So I want you to kind of share this. What does that follow up look like? What are you calling and saying? What do you ask? Like, what are you doing when you follow up?
So it depends though. If let's say when it comes in from my virtual assistant as somebody that actually wants to offer, we'll label it as kind of a warm or hot lead until we kind of talk to them and filter it out. It then goes to my other assistant, and she kind of vets it out to see what they want and get what they want for it possibly, and kind of vets it out before it get to me. So if we don't talk to them, and after that, the initial conversation where they say they want to offer, we'll try to follow up with them at least once a day or once or twice a week, to until we can get them back on the phone to get them offer.
Yeah, and so that's the gem that you're dropping. Guys, you gotta understand there's gonna be a lot of people that say, yes, I'm open to an offer.
Right.
But oftentimes, and this is why follow-up is so critical. So oftentimes you can't formulate an offer for them right then and there. They might be pushy. They might stop texting you back or not pick up the phone. Those follow-ups need their own category.
Right.
That's not a regular follow-up, right? And that's why Pedro was saying he treats those leads differently. You got to treat those leads with more importance. Those should be your number one priority leads, where you're constantly, consistently following up with them on a routine basis. You said once or twice a week, which I think is great.
Right.
You want to try to get in touch with those people. They've already acknowledged they want to sell, guys.
Right.
For whatever reason, they're not communicating back. You need to try to get that person back on the line so that you can connect with those people, properly. So it's a probate deal. You cold call, your VA cold calls. It sounds like you have, I don't know if it sounds like, and I might be wrong, but it sounds like you're using my, that I teach my handoff process with making the offer, because it sounds like you said that the lead is then coming to you. Are you close?
Yeah, because at first I was kind of getting a headache. It was kind of a headache with just getting all of the leads to me, and then I'll get to them, and then they want $1 million for a $200,000 property, and so
Yeah,
I put in that structure where I had to show her what not to even bring to me, basically,
no doubt.
And that just comes with training, so she can, so they can know as well, and they learn as well. That's what I learned the most. I have to just try to help them as much by giving them as much knowledge as I can about it,
Absolutely. You dropping a lot of gems right now, man. I'm liking this conversation a lot.
Am I telling you too much?
No. We're gonna this is how we're gonna. So you and the U fam, right?
Right.
And we got a lot of missiles tucked away over at the U fam, right?
But I know what to keep on tuck.
Yeah. That one particular, that nuclear joint we got.
Right.
Yeah, right now we keeping that in house. We're gonna keep that in house for a little bit. We can't give them all that just yet.
Okay.
But other than that, if it fits the convo, we're gonna give it to them. The nuclear, we got to keep the launch codes.
Yeah.
We got to keep the launch codes at the crib. But aside from that, we'll talk about it for sure. So you're getting consistent. You're working on this deal. Again, I love that you're talking about follow-up, man. Like, follow-up is really almost everybody's Achilles heel. It's my Achilles heel.
Right.
I mean, is it yours?
And I even feel like I'm not doing enough still.
Me too. I'm with you. It's following up is like, I don't know, man. It's just, I think what it is again, it's breaking away from that plug and play mindset. Because I know for me, when I first started, like when I used to be on the phone, was real heavy. I was always like, man, I'm trying to get to who's selling right now.
Right.
I need to make some bread. Like, who is selling right now? The reality, almost nobody. Very rarely are you going to be, Pedro, when the last time you calling and somebody ready to do the deal right then and there on the first call?
Surprisingly, I ran into a few, but none more definitely got to follow up at least 2 to 3 to 4 times before, they even kind of consider you serious, because sometimes they think we're scam, They're
getting so many calls.
Right. So you just got to stay consistent and kind of charm them, I guess.
Yeah, man, you got to build the rapport. You got to build that relationship. If you got charm, sprinkle a little bit in the conversation, right? And build those relationships up with your sellers. So tell us about this seller. So it's a probate lead. So I'm assuming they inherited the property, obviously.
Right.
And what was their initial ask? And how much did you get under contract for?
So it was a sister and it was a lady. She was staying in the property, and she was a nice lady, great lady. And so she put me in contact with their realtor, and the brother were and they had a brother that was kind of controlling the whole situation, and they had wanted appraisal value that was around 157. And I've been doing numbers all day in my head, so my numbers is crazy right now.
I'm the same way, man. Somebody asked me about it. I gotta look it up.
Right, it was about 155, I think, and I think I ended up getting them down to like 143 or something like that. 145.
This don't sound like Hopewell. This sounds like this is city. Chesterfield. Chesterfield. Yep. All right. So you're hitting this list in Chesterfield. You get them down a bit on the price, and you see that you've got room to get this property over to an end buyer.
Right.
So how do you get the property out to your buyers? Are you just texting a few people? Are you blasting this out to a list? How are you going about doing that?
I used to blast it out. I'm kind of tailoring. I'm still working on my buyers list every day, definitely. So I kind of tailor it out. I got kind of, your serious buyers. You kind of let them get first dibs, and then you let everybody else look at it as well if that don't go. So just basically that way, kind of send them to a few guys you've worked with before, and see if what they think about it. And if that don't work, you send them out to everyone else, and you go from there.
Dope. Yeah. I mean, buyers list is a tricky thing too. I'm probably different than a lot of people that teach, how to do the business in probably a couple different ways. But and when it comes to the buyers list, I've never had a huge buyers list.
Right.
Now I've got, for the sake of the area that I'm in, we've got a lot of people on the list, but not an insanely large list.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality of it is that there's only going to be, especially right now during a pandemic, there's only going to be so many key players in any one market.
Right.
Especially a smaller area like Richmond and the surrounding areas. And what Pedro is saying is when you have those pocket solid buyers, I just hit one of mine up today on a property that I got. And so I'm hitting my buyer up, and I'm telling him like, hey, look, if it's something that you're interested in, we can make something work. As long as he can hit my number, because Pedro, you sound the same way. I want to move fast.
Right.
Let me get the buyer. I don't want to go through a whole bunch of open houses and all these different things if I don't have to.
Got to.
Especially when you don't have a big team. Like if it's just you want to move with velocity and speed versus getting stuck in doing all these tasks that takes time to do in disposition.
Right.
So you get this out. How did you find those pocket buyers? Or how did you find those buyers and build your buyers list in the first place?
So how I first got my buyers list when I first started, I kind of just went through the forums on different groups on Facebook and kind of just got emails, and then just started. I like I said, my first couple of deals, I blasted those out, and then just kind of built a relationship and got referred to different people, and that's just like that.
I love it, man. I love it. So you get the cash buyer out to the property. Mm-hmm. The first guy that you bring by, is that your buyer? How does that work?
Yeah, so it was kind of smooth. It was the first guy. He liked it. He was willing to wait and everything. So it was kind of a smooth transition, actually.
I love this, man. So he buys it. Now, do you assign? Do you do a double close? I know you're making around 13.
This particular deal, I believe, I had to do a double close on this one because it was kind of dealing with some court issues, and they had to deed the title over to me because I was on the initial purchase agreement, and so I just did a double close on it, and it all went smooth.
Talk a little bit about how, because I feel like me personally, I feel like you're almost running into title problems on every single deal.
Right.
And the thing you guys got to understand about title problems, it's not realistic to think you're not going to have title issues.
Right.
And the reason that it's not is we're calling people in distress. We're calling people that have inherited properties, tax delinquent, code violation, pre-foreclosure. It's not reasonable to think there's not going to be issues of judgments or title problems and different things going on these files. So what's your practice on how you manage your files while they're in escrow? So you've got a buyer, you've got a seller. Sounds like you had to do some additional work in this particular deal.
So I kind of handle the positions, and I kind of just try to stay adamant on it. The title company or the attorney may call me worrisome, but hey, Because I just like communication and I like to know what's going on, and things like that. So that's just how I handle it. I like to kind of reach out and just communicate.
No doubt, no doubt. So you're working this buyer, you get to closing, you do an assignment, or sorry, you do a double close. So how much do you remember how much it cost you to get that double close done?
I don't really remember off the top of my head. I think it may have cost me I think it was under $1,000 maybe.
Got you. So you spend $1,000, but
to make sure the deal get closed, So.
Yeah, and so I talk about this a lot, and this is just being real. So many people get caught up in the money and not doing the deal.
Right.
People try to protect their assignment fee. Like, nah, I'm gonna try to work around double closing or having to do this or paying for that. I don't want it to come out of my assignment fee. Let me ask that the buyer will pay for it or the seller will pay for it. It's like, yo, you making
You're about to get nothing.
You want to make 13 and spend 1,000? Here's the thing, Pedro. If I said, hey, Pedro, listen, you give me $1,000 right now, I'm gonna hand you back 14. And you're gonna have 13 in your pocket. You're gonna end up with 13 in your pocket, right? I'm gonna give you back 13. Are you gonna not do that?
No brainer. All day.
So guys, don't be greedy in your business. When you're working and trying to get deals closed, issues are gonna come up, title issues, judgment issues. Just think, like, don't blow a deal up over a couple $1,000s and you making 10.
Right.
It's just part of the process. You want to get these deals done so you can get that speed going on what you're doing. It's extremely important for you guys to do that. So how did you find, I see this question all the time, how did you find the title company or attorney that you work with currently?
Word of mouth. Just connecting with a few different people that do the business. I've been using Curtis Gordon over there. Gordon Dankos. I like them. So that's what I've been using for lately.
And so, guys, Curtis, who he's talking about, is my attorney. I've been working for Curtis for 10 years. Pedro's in the same city as me. I tell people, I see people all the time, Pedro, in my group, in the coaching group as well. And they in Richmond. Hey, who should I use? What? And I'm like, yo, I done told y'all, get Curtis up. Now, sometimes I got to get on Curtis a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes them emails don't come when I want them to come. I'm like, yeah, I need to
be with them before, but we good people over there. I like them, so
absolutely. And that's the key, right?
Right.
You said you had a conversation with them.
Right.
And so, guys, it's important when something isn't meeting your expectation. That doesn't mean, hey, you know what? I ain't using Curtis no more. Because what I had to realize, I stopped using Curtis for like 6 months or a year. Worst thing I ever did. Right. What I ended up realizing was I didn't even give him an opportunity to meet the expectation.
Right.
I never told him like, hey, this is what I
need. You wanted it done, right?
Yeah. So how can I knock him or be upset with him if he not handling it a certain way that I got in my head and never communicated?
Right.
So you got to communicate your expectations with people, especially your title company. I personally think that the title company is the most critical part of the process. Title company or attorney, I recommend using attorneys.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a good attorney, you're going to run into some shit.
You're going to always run into some shit, but sometimes
you need something
go through they fall through at the title company. And a lot of the times it don't be on them, but it could be on them for moving too slow and, or anything, so having a good title company is crucial.
Yeah. And what happens is because the title company is the barrier of credibility with the seller. They're using your attorney. They're trusting your attorney. They don't have their own real estate agent involved. They don't have their own attorney involved. So they're trusting you in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem and the frustration for us as wholesalers, I'm sure this is Pedro's frustration too. So if your attorney or title company isn't getting to having a conversation with the seller fast enough, that could cause problems and create an issue of credibility, right? So you want to put yourself in spaces where you have the good team. But I honestly think that title company attorney piece is super critical. That's probably one of the top things that, in my opinion, to have tight in your operation. Because sometimes they'll tell you a deal ain't a deal and can't close because they don't want to work through the file.
Right.
They don't want to call the creditors. They don't want to figure out the judgments. They don't want to go down to the records room and figure out if there's a satisfaction and judgment on record or not. They don't want to do that stuff. And so the only way that you can kind of really, have that tightened up is just to find that right title company to work with. Right. So you work through this, you get the deal done, you make $13,000. That's good money. How do you, and I see this a lot, so I'm asking you some questions tonight that I see asked a lot. How do you know at that 13, how much do you know to reinvest into your business? How much do you know to put in your pot? Like, how do you figure that out for you?
So it's it may be different for me than other people. I always was taught to save more than you spend, and I guess you gotta you gotta learn through it, I guess, because I guess everybody done it. When you get your first piece of nice money, you're gonna blow it. Let's just be honest. You know what I mean? So you gotta go through it and then just be smarter about it to know, like, you gotta literally save more than you spend, and then you gotta, when you're investing, you gotta treat it like you just gotta have an investment pot and just kind of every time you get a deal, just pull from it. If this deal is big, if the next deal is bigger than this one, pull a little more and put it in the investment pot and just work it like that, but don't go beyond your means,
Facts. Yeah. I mean, look, I've made a lot of money and I'm blowing a lot too. Especially when I was first starting out, money started booming, stuff coming in, everything looked a little less expensive, and
to get normal.
Yeah. Steak, lobster, and potato. I mean, and you put yourself in that spot. It's real. Isn't it crazy how easy it is to go through some money?
You wouldn't realize
like 13,000. Like, let's be real. Like 13,000. That's good money, right?
It is.
But you can move through that shit when you're running a business because you got to put more money back up.
Right.
You got some stuff that you got to take care of in-house.
Right.
Especially when you first starting out. You might be late on some bills and stuff like that. Right. And it's a difficult thing to balance.
Right.
For sure. But yeah, my advice is the same as Pedro's advice. Find a way. It's all right to blow the first.
That's what I would say. When you start making money, don't start going do different things and just getting more expenses. Just live regular like when you didn't have it, and you'll be all right. And just put the money in the business, you'll be all right.
Run that back, man.
Don't get more expenses. Like, that's rule number one. When you start making money, just keep your lifestyle the same for a second. Stack it up, and you'll be good.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do. Let's be really clear.
Temptation is hard.
Yeah, let's be really clear.
With social media, you gotta be strong. So
yeah, you want
self-discipline come before anything. It gotta start there.
Self-discipline, and that has to do with mindset, right? When we talk about being consistent, when we talk about staying focused and doing the things that you need to do to have success in the business, that's all mental. Right. Like, that's literally all mindset. What did you do to get the right mindset to do this business?
Like I said, it was just more so like just trying to really telling myself, like, you can't keep talking about it. You say you want to be wealthy, what you gonna do? And that you just gotta, sometimes you gotta have them talks with yourself.
Yeah.
Man to man or woman to woman, and just say, hey, let's get it.
Facts, man. I had a friend of mine, it's probably like 7 years ago. And because I talk about morning routines a lot, and so I'm talking to him about his morning routine. And he tells me, he's like, look, one of the things I do is I talk to myself in the mirror every morning.
Right.
And I remember first when he said it, I'm like, bro, what? And And so I kind of gave him that, like, huh? And so he broke it out. He said, man, if I can't talk to myself and be right with myself, I'm gonna be right with the world.
Yeah.
If I can't have that conversation with myself to get disciplined, get refocused, get back on track, what does that say about me? So I think that's phenomenal advice, that you got to spend some time with yourself, and you got to also calibrate yourself. I talk about that a lot. Like, what does it mean when you spend all this time on YouTube University? You buy every single course that comes out. You're in every single Facebook group, asking questions in every single Facebook group, and doing all these different things. But then not deep down inside, you're not out here doing the actual work. You're not talking to sellers.
Right.
You're not getting on the phone. You're just doing stuff to make yourself feel like you're working. And in all actuality, you're really not.
Mm-hmm.
We got to self-calibrate. We got to be real with ourselves. And have that self-discipline like Pedro was talking about, guys. You got to get yourself in a spot where you can hold yourself accountable, because it's like I say all the time, like, you got to think about this. Like, how does it sound that you're willing to go to work for somebody else and work hard for them, go to a job that you hate, go to a job that you wake up every morning like, I hate this damn job.
You debate going every morning.
But even though you debate, you still show up on time. You still go hard. You still do your work. And then you get off work. You get off work 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock. If you like me, I used to get off at midnight.
Right. I've been there.
That's a grind.
12-hour shifts. Sometimes, yeah.
I already know. That's how you get built. That's a grind.
Hill Phoenix, Walmart distribution, those warehouses. So
hey, bro, I used to load tractor trailers at FedEx, man. One person. You know what I mean?
You can start aching in muscles you ain't know you had. It's
ain't no game, bro. But you got to think, when I'm loading tractor trailers, I used to complain and talk shit the whole time I was loading the tractor trailer up.
Right.
The whole time. The dude loading the tractor trailer beside me, we talking shit about the job to each other. But we still pushing hard. We still working and getting it done. So why is it that we can get off work, have our own businesses, our own opportunities, our own opportunities to be great and have success, have the resources that we need to be able to do it, and then we don't want to put in no work?
Right.
That should sound crazy.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you could be successful and say you're tired. You want to be successful and say you're tired. Or make being tired as an excuse.
Nah, yo, you gotta. That's a bar and a Fendi fact in one, man. You gotta run that one back too, bro.
Like, yeah, you can't say you want to be successful and use being tired as an excuse. It's just everybody tired.
Everybody tired. Hey, Pedro, I'm glad you came on here tonight, man. This is a beautiful thing, man. Yeah, everybody is tired. I'm tired. Pedro, you tired, bro?
I'm a little tired. I can use a nap.
That's what I'm saying, man. Everybody tired. We always seeking out excuses with what we're doing. It's always, if you're in a space where it's always, I can't do this because, then you might need to go talk to yourself in the mirror tomorrow morning and have that conversation and tighten that up first. You want to put in the work. You want to. Why not go get what's owed to you? Straight up. When I wake up every single morning, I talked about this on the call last night. When I wake up every single morning, man, I feel like this is owed to me. I feel like success, the things that I want, the car that I want, that shit is owed to me. I feel that in my soul.
Right.
So if I know that I feel that way, I can't sit around and talk about being tired and this, that. I got to go do it. What's your why, man? What motivates you? What keeps you pushing every single day?
My son. Just had a son, be one next month. So self-explanatory.
Word up. Yeah, because he a youngin' right now, but one day he gonna be looking at you. And that's not the example that you want to set, I'm sure, right? You want him to know Nah, man, like you can knuckle up. You can get out here and you can go. You don't got to have all the resources. You don't got to have no silver spoon. You ain't got to go to the best school.
Right.
You can have a phone and a computer.
Another reason why I really got into it is I come from poverty neighborhood, so like I try to just show my friends and everything, like, man, you can go a different route, you know.
Yeah, what's that conversation like, or what is that like? So you got friends, me too, and I get it, but I want your perspective. You got friends, maybe they still running the street, or they doing whatever, they not taking life too serious. But we getting older, like we talked about at the beginning of the call.
Right.
Now that they see you pushing out and trying to make some different things happen, and I apologize, not trying, you're making some things happen.
Right.
What is that conversation with your circle? You know, what does that even look like now?
Um, I ain't gonna ever give up on people I care about, you know. So they may say I'm preaching to them all the time, but I always tell them every time I see them, you know, I'm gonna definitely give them the game and let them know, man, you playing, you know, like I even tell them I ain't gonna beg you to get none of this money, man.
Facts.
So that's just me.
I love that, man. I love that. Pedro, let's jump into some Q&A, man. Guys, if you got questions that you want to ask Pedro or myself, go ahead and drop them in the comments. We want to answer some of these questions for you guys. And Pedro, I appreciate you sharing today, man. And sharing part. Yeah, no doubt, bro. We've been chatting back and forth. It seems like for a little bit.
Right.
I know you've been in the U as well. So it's dope to see you growing, see the things that you're doing. Much love and respect to you, man. Keep going, keep pushing. The beautiful thing about this business, like I tell everybody, what fascinates me about it, what gets me excited about it the most is there is literally no telling what the trajectory really is.
Right.
Because there's so many opportunities inside of this business that can create themselves just from you being consistent. And again, if you're one of them people like me that you feel that you deserve these things, the universe owes you these things, then it's your responsibility to go get it, to recognize opportunity and go get it, man. So I definitely appreciate you, jumping on here tonight. We got some good questions. So I see my guy Gordon Gecko is in the building. Shout out to Gordon Gecko, 7 figures. How long did it take you, Pedro, to get or hire VAs?
So probably about a month or two after I started, I jumped right into it. I kind of was calling for about a month or two, maybe 3 months. And I just delegated.
And was that a result of you not wanting to cold call, or that's just trying to scale the business?
Trying to scale.
Got it. Yeah, and I know you're always asking those scale questions and stuff like that. So I definitely know that's the case. So if you were Gordon Gecko, my guy right here, right, what would you suggest you should have in order before hiring a VA?
I would definitely suggest you know how to cold call and know kind of objections and kind of, I call it finesse, and know how to have the finesse words when the seller comes back at you. Once you get that, then you're able to delegate, maybe listen to some calls and then help somebody else do it.
Yeah, and one thing you mentioned earlier I want to touch on when you talked about your VA earlier was it sounds like you're consistently training your VAs and spending time with your VAs.
Right.
It sounds like you didn't just hire the VA, put her on the phone, and then,
like I said, that's why I like Antoine Campbell's, because he kind of do some pre-training before they get to you, so they kind of already familiar with different real estate things. So you just got to kind of get them in tune to how you like to run your business, and
yeah.
So it's not too hard.
How often are you meeting with your VA?
So I talk with them every day. But as far as like a formal meeting, sit down maybe like once a week.
Got it. So you're communicating back and forth with your VAs every day. I'm assuming about these deals, things of that nature.
Right. Anytime they have questions, they can call me.
No doubt. How would you handle multiple buyers trying to get a deal that you have?
Highest and best offer.
Yeah. So I want to expand on that though.
Right.
I'm glad that was your answer, because that is the answer that you should have. So I'm glad to hear you say that. I see so many people get stuck in this vortex of buyer situations. And they're like, oh, I had a deal that I was marketing, but then I got another offer after telling this guy that I would do the deal with him. And now I got
your word though. If you agree to a price with somebody and you get a higher offer after, you got to take the L. It's not really an L because you didn't have nothing,
You're still making money.
Right.
Yeah, but your word is your word, right? If you tell a buyer you're doing a deal with them, even if somebody comes and offers you more money,
right,
you should not. You shouldn't snake your buyer, because you wouldn't want somebody to do it to you.
Stay solid.
Stay solid. One thing I'll recommend that I practice is, when we have those deals that go out, we use the open house model. So you can come out to the property just with everybody else. We'll have you into the house, and then we'll be accepting highest and best offers after that. No, I don't want to sit and negotiate with you about the price. And hey, if you don't want to offer the asking price, I'm not saying don't send an offer. Just send whatever your highest and best is.
Yep.
And then put a deadline on that. If today is Tuesday at 8:00, maybe that deadline is Wednesday at 8 p.m. 24. Hey guys, 24 hours. We're accepting offers for 24 hours after the open house. And then at that way, you're not taking offers one at a time from people. Right. And running into that scenario of, damn, I took this offer. Now this dude offered me $5,000 more, $10,000 more.
Right.
So I use that method so you can kind of get all those offers at one time. You can analyze those deals and then go with the best deal that fits what you're trying to do.
Definitely.
Let's see what else we got. And guys, again, if you got questions, go ahead and drop them. We get Pedro to answer these before we get out of here. So Maurice, shout out to Maurice. What up? What question do you ask a investor-friendly title company?
That's kind of a general question, but I guess what?
Let me ask you this.
Time maybe.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know Curtis,
right?
Like if you didn't know that I worked with Curtis and referred him, right?
Right.
What would you want to ask Curtis, knowing what you know, to see if he was a good fit for you?
So before I met Curtis, I've done a few deals before, and I was using different title companies, so I kind of knew what to ask already. So I just basically check or see their turnaround time and just different things like that to see if how they communicate with the seller, to let them know what's going on and things like that. That is key as well, for them to kind of reach out to the sellers as well, so they can establish a point of communication with them as well, so they can kind of, like Chris, like you said earlier, be that credible source that they can feel more comfortable that you are valid.
Let me pause you right there, Pedro, because this is an absolute gem, and I'm glad you brought that up. You must, if you have a file with an attorney or a title company, you absolutely 110% must set an expectation with them that when you open escrow on a property, there's an expectation of them contacting the seller on your behalf directly.
Right. What I do, if they have an email, I give you a gem. Just CC everybody in the email when you're sending over the contract from the seller to the attorney, not the buyer, but from the seller. Just CC them in the same email. That way they'll have their point of contact and they'll feel more comfortable if they need to reach out by email. They have it already. I
agree with Pedro 110%. That's what we do as well. When we send the contract in, we CC the seller. We let them know that, hey, Stephanie is going to be the point of contact. This is who you're going to want to speak with. Their number is 804-262, boom. And because if you don't, and Pedro, I'm sure you've had this happen. I have. Because when you don't, that seller is blowing you up.
Right.
Because you're their only source of credibility and trust in the transaction at that point.
Right.
So now they're calling you, hey, Pedro, I thought you said that you what's going on with the EMD?
Right.
Hey, I thought you said that,
so closing this day. I thought.
And what happens, Pedro, when they calling you to get the answers to those questions?
You got to call the attorney.
Got to call the attorney. And what it does is, if you don't have those answers, or not even not have those answers, when you create a situation where they got to reach you for these things,
right?
Every time they're having to do that, it is lowering your credibility with them each time. The problem with this is once you get into an escrow situation, you got a deal on a contract, you're working it and got it in the escrow.
Mm-hmm.
The danger here is if through the escrow process, the closing process, you're losing credibility with the seller every single day. Guys, when you run into a problem at closing, which you will, when you run into a problem at closing and the seller doesn't understand the problem, which is more often than not, if the seller doesn't understand the problem, but their trust with you has all the way broken down, that's how you lose deals that you shouldn't lose.
Right.
And then people will demand that you cancel the contract. It's not going to be worth it to you to try to fight it because let's just face it and be real. The only time it makes sense to fight somebody legally is if you can afford to. And trust me, all right, from personal experience, it's extremely expensive to do so. Extremely, extremely expensive. It's not worth a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 assignment fee to go after somebody in court. Trust me, because it's going to cost you more than that to do it.
Right. And it's something like around $1,000 an hour they work on the file.
It ain't no game. Yeah, it ain't no game. So you gotta make sure that and that's why I say it's the most critical part. Because you're basically trying to keep everybody happy and keep everybody smooth, but set proper expectations and communicate those the right way. We got somebody asking, what market are you in?
In the Richmond and surrounding counties and cities. I'm also in the 757 area, so I guess the Hampton Roads, Newport News, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Hampton.
Dope. How much do you pay your VA hourly to make calls, and how many hours is your VA calling per day?
I pay my cold caller $4 an hour, and she calls around 800 to 1,000 people a day.
That's dope, man. So 800 to 1,000 calls a day. I think that's perfect, man. I think that's perfect. By the way, while we're wrapping up some questions and whatnot, if you're into you, man, with me and my guy Pedro, if you're one of my students, drop that you in the chat so I know you in the building. Drop that you in the chat for me. Drop that you in the chat. If you're one of my students, let me see the praying hands. You know, we use that SRU symbol. Drop that for me in the chat so I know you active. I know you in here. Let's see what else we got, Pedro. I think you answered. Now we answered that one. Let me see. All right, I see some U's coming through. I see my U's dropping in. Here's a good question. Yo, first of all, before you answer this, shout out to my guy Sarge. Shout out to my brother Sarge right here. You family member, one of the leaders of the U. Big shout out to him. I got a big boss salute him though, real quick. I was recently in his home base down there in Atlanta. He made sure I was active, made sure I had a car to get around. Hospitality, you know, Southern hospitality, man, it's a beautiful thing.
That's love.
That's love, man. So I got to personally right here and now, my guys in the building. Shout out to Sarge. Thank you very much, man. Pedro, have you ever had to fire a VA? And if so, why and how?
Yeah, I have. Just basically not being productive, meeting productivity or over time. If you train them for months at a time and you don't see improvement, you know, sometimes you got to let them go.
Yeah, that's real. That's absolutely real. I've learned personally, if you're having a problem with a VA, get rid of them ASAP. You know, if their power goes out, which happens, by the way, if their power goes out, but they can't show you that their power went out, they got to go.
All
right. If they're having problems and saying they can't do this, got to go. There are good VAs out there. I've got a great VA.
Me too.
There are good VAs out there. But what often happens is people will just drag out their VA instead of going and getting a new one. And by the way, to be clear, that's not a reflection. Sometimes it is, but it's not a reflection of who you got your VA from. Because I get my VA from VA brokers also. You I've used Antoine. Currently I use Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are phenomenal. And so, but you're going to get a bad VA regardless of who you get it from. You're going to end up with a bad VA, and you gotta actually fire that VA, and then hold the person accountable you got the VA from.
Right.
Instead,
Sometimes you gotta hold yourself accountable if you're not training them or setting expectations right. Sometimes it be you as well. So you just gotta analyze the situation all the way around the board and just make the best decision for you and your business.
And you got to be real with yourself. Right. If you know you haven't properly trained your VA, Pedro said he talks to his VA every day.
Right.
He's training with his VA once a week. If you're not doing that, the VA's performance isn't the VA's fault.
Yeah, I also put them through training as well, just different things. So
that's a gem. How many? Somebody's asked Maurice, how many deals have you done this year?
This year, I don't really remember the exact number of deals, but I think I did good for my first year.
That's good, man. No, salute. All right, so Vivian, how did you buckle down and gain momentum? Shout out to Vivian. How did you buckle down and gain momentum until your first deal closed?
Just basically zoning in with myself and just focusing and just knowing what I wanted and just attacking it.
Word. So you just buckled down and started attacking.
I don't want to make it sound so simple, but it's just like I got that go-getter mindset. Like if I want to get something, I'm gonna go get it. Like I figure it out. Like, and I learn along the way. I fail forward. No doubt.
We talk about that
a lot, and it ain't just all peaches and creams. I failed more than I've won, but I just don't stop.
Yeah, I love that, man. We talk about in the youth failing forward a lot.
All right.
And I don't know why people don't get it, man. Failing is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
You know what not to do next time.
You can't beat that. Like,
I'm a little better,
Look, I'm about to tell you. I'm gonna put this in perspective, right? Then you're gonna be like, yeah. It's like when you remember back in the day, Pedro, when you took that test in school and the teacher handed it to you. Everybody in the class got an A.
Right.
Teacher hand you your joint, F. But she said, hey, Pedro, look, you got an F. I'm gonna let you go study. Come back to class in 2 days. I'm gonna let you take the test again. Hold up, you giving me the test?
Don't let it be multiple choice.
Come on, the odds are increasing, right?
I'm telling you.
You giving me the test back that I failed on. You gonna so I know what the answer won't, and I can go back and figure it out. Additional time, and I can retake the test. Guys, that's what failure is. It's an opportunity to do it again.
Facts.
I mean, I embrace it. I love it. The fastest way to failure, what Pedro just said, when he answered Vivian's question, the key thing that I heard him say is he took action. He just went. Some of y'all are so scared to just fail,
right?
That you'll avoid failure to never reach success. That's a travesty. You allow the fear of failure or the thought of failure to prevent you from ever feeling success.
Fear of the unknown. It's crazy.
Sometimes you just gotta walk in that cave.
Yeah, man.
See what's on the other side. See somebody say this. I quit, man. I was trying hard to hang on, but my job was in the way of my wholesaling business. I can't tell, Monique, if you quit the job or the wholesaling business. I'm hoping not wholesaling. All right. Hopefully you quit the job. Pedro, what are your thoughts on people that are in that in-between point? They feel like their job is holding them back. I don't always think the job is holding people back, but what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's the job. I think they don't want to be tired. real like because it's either one of the two. You just got to pick one. You gonna just do the job, or you gonna and you complain about it, or you gonna do the job, come home, work on your own business, or you just gonna work on your own business. You know, I don't think it's no. I think it's for me. It's pretty simple. You know. Like,
Yeah. I remember when I quit my job, I thought that I would work less. And I work more hours.
oh, you work for yourself is you got it made.
Nah. You working.
Maybe 10 times harder.
You working a lot harder when you got your own business. The reality too is if you're somebody that can't find time to pursue and work on your business when you have a job, quitting your job ain't going to help you find that time.
Right.
It's going to give you more time to make excuses.
Right.
So my personal advice, like I'm all for quitting your job if it makes sense. I'm all for that.
Right.
But if you don't have the discipline while you have a full-time job, like Pedro says, to be tired, I really like that. If you don't have the ability to be tired, to work a full 8, 10, 12, 14-hour shift, and then come home, and despite life and all the different things going on, go be tired and put up some work. Even if you get 40 hours back a week or however many hours back a week, I'm just going to be honest with y'all right now, you ain't going to do the work. Because it's one and the same. Say that, Pedro?
And you at least not how you think you are. You might think, yeah, I'm gonna quit and go hard. If you're gonna make excuses, you're gonna make excuses.
Facts. What questions are you asking the seller to get comfortable enough to give you a price?
So it depends. You gotta fill out, each seller gonna be different. You kind of just fill out and vet them. Most of them won't give you a price, you know. You kind of just gotta set an expectation around what you would be willing to offer and just see how they react to it. That's basically what I do. Sometimes I come in and just throw a low offer, not a real disrespectful low offer, but a low offer, you know, just to see how they take it, you know, and then I work from there.
Yeah. So one of the things that I teach in the U, right, is that price anchor method.
Right.
So and I teach my students this, we don't have any expectation for somebody to give us the price. We don't even ask really anymore what the asking price is. It'll depend on the flow of the seller. Right. But we're not asking what the asking price is, because 9.5 out of 10 sellers ain't gonna give it to you.
Right.
And you will often disrupt the rhythm and the rapport of the call by asking for the asking price. So I prefer to assume that there's no asking price whatsoever. And so I do the same thing that Pedro does, the same thing I teach my students. Create a price anchor, you know, and then the reason that we teach the handoff method inside the U is because the beautiful part of using the handoff method is when you price anchor really low.
Different point of contact.
It's listen, I'm not the decision maker. You know, Pedro in my office, he's my finance manager. You know, he's the decision maker, but right now I'm approved to give you an offer of up to $50,000. And Pedro, listen, I get it. I know that might not be what you're looking for, and I absolutely understand that. Pedro, I already told you, I want to get you the highest and best offer possible. You know, you deserve to make a great amount of money on your investment. I absolutely understand that. So I understand if $50,000 can't work for you, but I can absolutely go talk with Pedro and get you guys connected so you guys can speak on the phone and possibly see what more he could do for you.
Right.
That's how you give somebody a lowball offer, while at the same time building rapport, while at the same time setting the expectation that you are not the final say-so.
Right.
So what happens is a lot of people will give a low offer, and then the seller's reaction is, well, Pedro's the decision maker. He gave me the low offer.
Right.
Screw Pedro. Nah, you're wasting my time. So when you say what I just said, then let me talk to Pedro. Then if he's the finance manager, has to say so. Like, yeah, let me connect with him.
Right.
And you're positioning that as, yeah, I think Pedro could do more for you. I think he can, you know, obviously make some different things work.
And sometimes when you say that low offer, they'll and then in turn come back and maybe give you what they're expecting to get for the property. 8 out of 10 times it works like that.
That's a gem too. And so when you use that lowball pricing, or sometimes you like Pedro just said, great gem. You just got to get the price out. You got to make the price anchor.
Right.
And then put it off on your handoff.
And then work backwards.
Well, hey, Pedro, I understand you're saying that the 50,000 doesn't work for you. Like I said, I definitely want to get you connected with Pedro in our finance department. I'm kind of just curious. I know, again, the 50 doesn't work for you. Do you have some number that might work that I could take to him and let him know before you guys get on the phone? So you want to work on those things.
More people get mad at you, and then they'll go off. Oh, well, this house right here sold for this. So they had a number in their head the whole time. They just hold it. So you just gotta
work to it.
Finesse sometimes.
Absolutely. Morgan is in here. Shout out to Morgan. Good to see you in here. Do you send already skip trace lists to the VA? What do you use to track contacts and notes on your different lists?
So right now I pull my own leads, but I send them to get filtered and skip trace through my VA, so I don't skip trace myself anymore. I just make sure the total gets ran by me before the button gets pressed. So
and what are you using to skip trace?
I use REI Skip and Batch.
Shout out to REI Skip. Shout out to Batch. Both of those are my folks, especially REI Skip. I use REI Skip. You guys go check that out.
And I use call tools for my dollar, and to keep notes, and then it gets transitioned automatically. It's automated into my Podio, so like that. I
love it. Jay Burrow, what up? What up? So, do your family members believe you were buying properties in the beginning?
They
didn't even think you were wholesaling or anything. Like I don't know if you went through what I went through. I told people
I didn't really have that problem. So yeah, like my family, they believe in me. So yeah.
No doubt. Now, here's the deal. If you got people around you that don't believe in what you're doing, don't see your vision, think it's a scam.
Yeah, that don't even matter.
Speak on that though, Pedro.
I mean, even if they won't, it's been things that I wanted to do or that I was with that they won't with. If I believe in it, I'm with it,
100%.
Calculated for me though. Everything got to be calculated as much as I can control it.
Yeah, and like my philosophy has just always been like, man, can't stop, won't stop.
Right.
Like if you ain't with it, man, get off the island.
Right.
You ain't built enough to be here. If you don't got enough in you to grind and make something work from zero, if you can't take something from 0 to 100, you ain't built enough, man. You got to get out. You got to get off this island. I don't care if you
and go back to 100.
Yeah, facts.
Be built for.
You got to be built for this shit, man. And so this is the problem. A lot of people are built for it or in the process of becoming built for it, but they keep people around them. And it's really hard when it's your significant other. It's really hard when it's your parent. And that person is your immediate space, your immediate circle, because you're excited about wholesaling, you're telling people about it. I'm doing this, looking at how, They see you watching YouTube all the time and whatnot. And they're like, man, Pedro, that shit ain't gonna work, bro. Like, you gonna wholesale real estate? You gonna invest in real estate, Pedro?
Yeah, see, I ain't really have those problems, so I think those bad people to be around you if you got those type of people around. They just bad people in general. Man.
Facts. Because what does it say about you or anybody else?
Right.
If how you really love somebody, they telling you they want to do something and pursue something, and you discourage them every time.
That's not about doing nothing crazy. You should be, all with it.
It's like I tell you, man, anytime somebody hit me about something they trying to do or whatever, I tell them the same thing. Man, take your shot. It can only go one of two ways, bro. Either you gonna make it or miss it. Shoot that shit. Run it.
Shoot it.
I mean, because if you miss, this is the deal. If you miss, you miss. You in the same spot.
Ball gonna bounce back to you.
Come on, man. When you gotta let that shit bounce back your way, but you gotta at least put up a shot.
Facts.
Some of y'all,
Yeah.
some of y'all scared to take a shot. Yo, shout out to Sarge. He said, if anybody in the U is in Atlanta, holla at Sarge, man. He got you. He got you. And he mean that, by the way. He mean that when he say that. This is Monique dropped it. She came back and dropped the bar. You can't pass jobs down to your babies. You can pass your business, your knowledge, setting my son up for the future. I love seeing stuff like this.
That's dope.
Yeah, I love it, man. You gotta set. A job ain't gonna do that for you. Just especially somebody like me. Barely got out of high school, flunked out of college. I mean, I'm like, what, like you got to go get it yourself.
All right.
Tim, shout out to the U family. Tim has a question. What is the number one goal for your business in 2021?
I'm trying to do 7 figures in revenue.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I love that. That's that bag talk. I love that. I love that. You're going to do it too. Let's see what we got in here. How much time are you spending cold calling a day? So how many hours do your VAs work?
I have one VA that just nonstop cold calls for around 4 to 5 hours a day.
Nice. That's tight. So 4 to 5 hours a day, which is a perfect way to start. Get a VA, have them call for at least 4 hours a day. How much did you say again you pay your VA an hour?
$4.
So listen. So they call for you 4 hours a day, right? That means it costs you $16 a day.
$80 a week.
$80 a week. Shit, I spend, I ain't gonna say how much I spend. I spend, some money each week on a haircut. Now I used to spend $20 a week. Used to spend $20 a week, but I had to, you got to switch your barber sometimes. You know what I mean? Steak and lobster, you gotta have the appropriate barber.
That's that in the office cut.
Yeah.
I feel it.
But you got to learn to cut things out. I used to get a haircut every single week and spend $20.
Right.
When I started doing real estate, that was one of the things I cut out. It's like, yo, boom, I'm gonna get a cut once a month. I'm gonna look crazy. Hair gonna be all messed up, whatever. But shit, that's $60 I got left over to put in the pot for the marketing.
Facts.
Boom, the cable. All right, they running me like $150 a month with internet and cable. Yo, I got Hulu. Why I need to be paying for the boom? You know what? Let me call them, get just the internet.
Right.
Boom, now I done saved another $60-$70 on my. You gotta find stuff to sacrifice and cut out.
Definitely.
You buying shoes every time they drop. Go ahead, Pedro.
Everything about sacrifice. In order to get ahead, you gotta sacrifice like something.
You gotta be willing to give something up. You gotta be willing to give something up. You work more, but it's different when it's something you're passionate about. I agree with Ashley 110%. Shout out to Ashley, you family as well. My brother, Bigger Pockets. I've been out of town. I saw your email. I'm going to email you back tomorrow. Shout out to my brother, Bigger Pockets. My man I got to shout this guy out for real. This guy's in the federal penitentiary right now, doing a bid, getting ready to get out in a couple of months.
That's dope.
Found me on YouTube. Hollered at me on YouTube, gave my email. We've been exchanging a couple of emails. And I read his email. When you email me back, Bigger Pockets, he ready to get to it.
That's dope.
He's showing up. This is the consistency. So what you got to ask yourself sometimes, right? We talk about consistency. How can somebody that's in a federal lockup, federal penitentiary, doing time in jail, he disciplined, he's showing up for the YouTubes. He reading different things. He ain't even supposed to be doing it.
Dedication, man. Like I said, if you want it, ain't nothing gonna stop you.
Ain't nothing stop you. So that's what I be asking myself sometimes, man. Like, I can't let nobody with less resources go harder than me.
I'm like that too. I always tell myself, somebody got it worse, so it ain't no need for you to make excuse.
It can't, bro. You can't. I agree 100%. Shout out to my man Bam, the wave legend, down in North Carolina. I see you spinning in the profile picture. No excuses. I know every time I'm trying to not grind, my mama mentality tells me somebody working harder than you.
Right. Rest in peace, Code.
Rest in peace, legend. That's facts. I tell myself at the same time. Pedro just said it too. I'm like, damn, I ain't trying to go hard, man. It's somebody on my. This is how I think. I'm like, man, I'm leading the pack. If I'm taking my foot off the gas, I'm giving too much time for somebody to catch. Somebody might pass me. If I'm going 100 miles an hour and drop down to 30, somebody gonna go by.
Right.
Y'all got to start looking at these things the same way. Let me see what else we got before we get ready to get out of here. This is a good question. I'm gonna answer this one too. I like this, but I want to hear what Pedro says. Pedro, we in the same market. I'm gonna let you answer this. How do you keep the motivation in a crowded market?
They ain't me. I'm me. You know, I mean, you just gotta be yourself. You one in a billion. Just be yourself. Nobody can be you.
Nobody can be you.
Business and just do your thing.
Yeah, Pedro, we work in the same city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, unless I don't know about it, have we ever bumped into each other on a transaction, on a lead, even on a lead?
Nope. I got a partner that wholesale too, and same city I'm in, and he find houses and he wholesale, and I never seen these houses. I'm like, damn, where you find that from?
Word up. I see some stuff hit my inbox sometimes. I'm like, damn, like where they caught that? So this is a mindset thing.
I'm gonna tell you another mindset you can have too.
Go.
Like the big players like Chris, they calling the leads, they beating the leads up. By the time you call them, you may be the fifth contact, and you might luck up because they already called them multiple times. You know, so you just got to change your mindset, how you thinking about it.
Facts. Absolutely. So when I hear that a market is crowded, see, I don't look at it as I don't need any motivation. If the market is crowded, that tells me there is money here to be made.
Right. Opportunity.
There's money here. I don't want to be nowhere that ain't crowded. It ain't no money there. Nobody should be looking for a market with less players.
Let's go.
I want to be where all the hitters at. Cause I know they gotta be there because there's money there.
Right.
So then I gotta ask myself, all right, there's hitters there. That's where I need to be. I'm about to go in here and put up some work. Now I know I don't got the resources them guys got. I can't send out 2,000-3,000 texts a day, make 2,000-3,000 calls. I can't do that. But what I can do is I can bubble down on one way to get to it. Whether that's probate, tax delinquent. We talking about a probate. I did that with John Washington too. That's how he been running it up. He in the same city as us. Have you ever ran John on a deal?
No, I need to learn how to do that though. So I locked up on this probate. I'm not really pulling probate. I need to add that to my tool belt.
Tap in with John, man. Watch the videos in the course.
We gotta
get tapped in with John. Cause this is the real, right? Like you got to want to go get this shit. Cause the way I think, I'm like, boom, all right, everybody in here is crowded. Cool. I'm gonna come in here and fuck it up.
All right.
I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna get to it. They're gonna have to feel my presence in the market.
I'll say that. You gotta make them feel you.
Gotta make them feel you. And so what starts to happen, I promise you, Cassandra, what starts to happen is if you remove the thought of anybody else being in competition, anybody else being in your way, anything, here's what you'll find out. Ain't nobody stopping you but you.
Right.
That's it. It's a lot of money out here. And we're in a small city. You got to think. We're in a small market. We ain't bumped into each other.
Right.
There's a lot of houses out here. There's a lot of leads. There's people that are going to resonate with Cassandra that's not going to like me. That's not going to like Pedro, but they're going to like Cassandra a lot. and they're going to want to do business with Cassandra. A lot of sellers don't want to deal with some big company and big operation with company T-shirts and slick back hair and all that. They don't want to deal with that.
Right. I hear that.
They want to deal with Cassandra. They can come sit down on their couch in their living room, and they feel like you really care about them.
Sometimes they just want to relate.
Facts. Yeah. So don't think that. Are you tracking KPIs? If so, how?
So I'll be honest. Like I said, I'm a year in. This is definitely one of my things on my list that I'm working to get better with, just organization and just tracking KPIs so I can kind of really, scale up.
Yeah, and here's the thing on KPIs. I hear people ask the KPI conversation a lot. A lot of people aren't even rotating enough data,
right,
to even track KPIs, really, just to be real. And the reality of it is, in my personal opinion, when you're first starting out, KPIs will limit your growth drastically because your mentality when you're starting out is plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I see the questions all the time in my group. I see it in my the private, the group we have for the U. I see it in Facebook, YouTube comments, stuff like that. People ask about these things sometimes. There's nothing wrong with knowing KPIs, by the way. But where it becomes a problem for most people is when they're trying to plug and play it.
Right.
And so they say, well, Pedro, how many calls do I have to make to get a deal? What's your KPI on how many calls you got to make to get a deal? Yeah. And Pedro says, oh, well, every 100 calls, I get a deal. So you, as somebody with a plug and play mindset, you say what, Pedro?
I just got to call 100 people.
I just got to call 100 people to get a deal. Pedro, is that real or is that not real?
Nope. That's no way near real.
But this is what happens.
You got to probably be pulling 100,000 leads a month or 10 to 20 to 30,000 leads a month.
This is how it shakes. Okay. So you're trying to plug and play. Well, how many calls do you make a day? Pedro's doing deals. I see Pedro talking about doing deals online. Pedro, how many calls do you make a day?
About 800.
But listen, this is what I'm saying. This is when people are asking about KPIs.
Right, yeah.
Oh, Pedro makes 800 calls a day? Okay, he did a deal, made 13,000. All right, guys, you know what? I need to make 800 calls a day.
Right.
Now, here's the real answer. You need to make as many calls as you can make.
Just call.
So, guys, when you're first starting out, don't bog yourself down so much with KPI. And I don't know if dial acquisitions is just starting out or not. I'm talking about this kind of overall. You don't bog yourself down with KPI this, KPI that. You just got to go get to work. Let's see. Cassandra, absolutely. You already know. It's all love. You already know that. 100%. I'm excited to see your growth. I see you learning. I see you staying consistent. I see you pushing. Don't think it's not noticed. I told y'all last night on the coaching call, I watch everything and see everything. If you in my group, if you're one of my students, I know it's a whole bunch. We got hundreds of students. I watch and pay attention to every single one of y'all. And I know what's going on and where each and every single one of y'all at. Trust me.
I got to get with you too. I got a deal. We might get JV something on too.
Absolutely, man. I'm about it. Let's see. I worked my job and was wholesaling for as long as I could, but I've kept having to meet with sellers and couldn't go because I was working. I would tell you to join the U because we got some tips and tricks for that. But you already quit, so you should definitely join the U. But if you don't do anything else, Monique, this is simply what you should do. You should wake up every single day with the intent to get on the phone and talk with sellers all day long. That's it. You should, if you don't know nothing else, you should know to wake up every day, get on the phone, and talk to sellers.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got. What's the biggest advantage you gained from the U that you were able to? This is a good question. What was the biggest advantage you gained from being in the U that you're able to apply to your business?
Just basically having A few things, honestly, having access to people that are doing things that you're doing, and having access to Chris that kind of is on a higher level than you, so he has more knowledge and experience. Different things. Like I said, it's a lot of different things. One thing that I could say I've learned is the most was that kind of really helped me was using the as is method. So just basically, it shifted my mind to think about and how to look at a deal different, and so that's been cool for me.
Yeah, that as is method code, man.
Still use formula 70%. I still use that when as is don't work, or
Yeah,
sometimes verify myself to see if I'm tripping.
no doubt. Um, all right, I'll answer this one real quick. So some of you guys may have seen this. I spent the last few days, in Atlanta with some phenomenal gentlemen that I've known for a long time. Some I hadn't met in person, some that we've built with, organically online, things like that. So we all got together, and it wasn't even a mastermind. It was something that was put together as a trip, really like a guys trip. Like, hey, let's get together, kick it, build some bonds. And I talked about this last night on a coaching call too. Like, if you're not building and bonding with the people in your local area, like, y'all should be doing what we just did. We literally just said, this is literally what happened. Elijah said, hey, why don't we just rent a house and get together and talk about some of the deals we're saying we want to do together, or how we want to work on our businesses? Like, it wasn't a formal mastermind, something exclusive that was put together. Like, it was just like, yo, hey, like, yo, Pedro, you trying to hit Atlanta, man? We're going to rent a house out, just kick it, build with each other, see what's going on, boom, boom, boom. If y'all aren't doing that at a smaller scale in your local markets with people that you're building relationships, meeting with online, you're hurting yourself. You never know who's going to be the next Pedro. You never know who's going to be the next Chris Jefferson, Max Maxwell, Elijah Rubin, Nazar. You don't know who that next person is going to be. Why not create space to have them within your vicinity to build relationships with them? And so while we got together to do that, and we're spending time together, we started to have really a critical conversation. And what that critical conversation was is we all were sharing our stories. We're all being vulnerable. We stripped pride away. We stripped ego away at the door. One thing that we talked about, one thing we learned is ego. Ego means edging God out. Don't allow your ego to edge God out of your life and what he might be able to do for you. And so what we realized was, in this conversation, so many of us, like myself, a bunch of people in there, were sharing the experience of growing up, just like Pedro talked about, reading Fortune magazine, reading Forbes magazine, seeing Donahue Peoples, seeing Herman Russell, seeing all these Black developers and minority developers. Jose Perez down in Miami, I used to follow him in his work a lot. And so then you start doing business, things start going well for you. Some people know who you are. You have some connections. Maybe Donahue Peoples, who's a billionaire, maybe he's only 2 or 3 degrees of separation away from you. You might know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that works at his office, because this is a space in the industry that we're in. And then you go to try to communicate maybe in those spaces, not saying particularly with those people, but with whoever, maybe the biggest developer in your town right now, biggest wholesaler in your town right now. You can't get a phone call with them. They don't want to sit down with you and have a conversation. You see them at a networking event and try to, So what we said was, how can we show unity and collaboration? To Cassandra's question earlier about, like, it's a perfect example. How can we show that competition doesn't matter? We all sell courses and have different online brands and all these different things, but there's no competition. We don't see that. What we see is the ability to unify and help and show people the business in a real and organic way. So that's what Elite X is. That's what Elite X is about. If you haven't gone to the site and signed up, join elitex.com. Doing yourself a disservice. We got some beautiful, beautiful things coming. Somebody help me out and drop that for me if you can in the comments. Join elitex.com.
Gotta send me that. I didn't see that.
Absolutely, man. I'll definitely do that for you. But you guys definitely want to check it out, because I'm telling you, man, it's gonna absolutely be a game changer. It's gonna be something that's gonna be able to help a lot of people out in this business, and we don't know exactly what we're going to do with it yet, but we do know that whatever we do, it's going to be to change the game, change the industry, to change the landscape of how people work together online, how people do things together online, that you guys look up to, that have platforms like myself. You know, when I created this platform, the guys that were at Elite X or that are Elite X, when they've created their platforms, the intent has been that we want to do some good. We want to put some good positive energy out into the space, out into the real estate ecosystem. And so this is what's been birthed out of it. I've had a lot of people hit me up. A lot of people, where the ladies at? How come the ladies? Ladies, listen, we love you. The woman is God. Listen, go to the website, sign up. We would love to have as many women there as possible, as many people there as possible, from all ethnicities, all backgrounds, all social situations. We want you there because that's why we're unifying. We're showing that it doesn't matter where you come from. It don't matter what your background is. You can click up, you can squad up, you can build and bond with some people, and you can do great things, but you got to be willing to expose yourself to new situations, new circumstances, if that's something that you want to do. I'm struggling on figuring out what I should do. Should I be spending money on as far as marketing? What would you tell Jalen? You're just starting out. Let's say you got $500. What should you be spending some money on?
So what would I tell him?
Yeah.
Probably pull me a small list, skip trace it, get on the dollar.
Facts. That's it. It's that simple. You get a list, you skip trace it, and you hit the dollar. That's it. Pedro, man, it's been a pleasure. Really appreciate you jumping on, man. It was a great conversation, man. I felt like we touched a lot of different things. Really gave out some gems tonight. I appreciate you doing that. Blessing people with some information and how they can do the business. What do you want to lead the people with, man?
Just grind and go get it. Say you want it, just go get it.
That's it. If you say you want it, go get it. If you make a commitment to yourself that you're gonna do something, you spending time on YouTube, you bought PropStream, you joined the U, you've done this, you've done that. Honor your commitment to yourself.
Facts.
If you can't honor your commitment to yourself, what does that say about everything else you got going on or will ever do? If at the very least, you don't want to honor your own commitment to yourself, maybe tomorrow morning, maybe you got to have that conversation in the mirror with yourself too. Something to think about.
All right.
Guys, we're going to get ready to get out of here. It's been a pleasure. If you need coaching, if you need mentorship, go look below. Click on the link. Go check out the U. If it makes sense for you, come join the family. If it doesn't make sense for you, we wish you best luck anyway. Pedro, man, much love, y'all. Be good.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.